Trends say that, and I spent $800,000 on Facebook ads within the last 12 months. Here's the receipts: 815 grand on one card, another 100 on another. In my first video, I did a high-level overview of Breezy Roofing. So if you haven't seen that, go ahead and watch it. I'll give you a little bit more context. Now, in this video, I'll be showing you exactly how we spent that $800,000 in 4 simple parts. Part 1 is how we started. Part 2 is how we built the creative engine. Part 3 is how we'd film it. Part 4 is how we track the chaos. Now, a little background on me. In the last 4 years, I've done door-to-door. I sold a power plant to a Bitcoin mining company. I moved to Tijuana, Mexico, and turned an empty banquet hall into a thriving call center with 40+ agents. And recently scaled a virtual roofing company to over $5 million in top-line revenue within 12 months. Honestly, it's fair to say I love the ride of business. I love the growth. And I'm making these videos to document the journey, and hopefully you'll learn a thing or two or teach me something in the comments. So let's jump into part 1. Part 1, how we started. When we started running paid media, we just wanted to be right. We didn't want to waste any of our startup capital, because I truthfully believe you only lose in business when you run out of money. Kind of like this guy at the casino, he's out of money. He's out of chips. And competitors are the best way to find out what's working. But I want to make it super clear. If you copy what your competitors do forever, you'll never have a winning marketing campaign because you'll never have a true edge. And so the idea is, don't reinvent the wheel in the beginning, right? So I believe it's the best way to reduce the downside risk at the start of the company, especially in the home service space. So I found competitors marketing a similar product and offer, and I only cared about what survived spend. So what do I mean by what survived spend? It's a really important thing. It means, what has the company, the competitor, been putting money behind for weeks or months? Because they would only invest in an ad for that long if it had conversions. And what did this help me achieve by having those ads at the start? Get an idea of what my CPL was, my cost per lead, and then talk to my end customers fast to iterate my sales process. The tools I use to look into the ads is Facebook Ad Library and then Foreplay. Foreplay is a new tool. You can look really deep into your competitors' ads and see everything they're running. So it's an awesome tool. All right, part 2, how did we build the creative engine? Okay, so my belief is you can only scale ad spend at the rate in which you can introduce more creatives. And here are the top 3 problems I ran into as we scaled. 1 was slow iterations, 2 is editor bottlenecks, and 3 is disorganization. And volume is a must as you start to scale, because our winning ads would get ad fatigue. And what ad fatigue means to me is that they weren't converting as good as they used to, right? You can run an ad for a long period of time, and eventually its results go down. So we weren't going to get different results or find new winners without trying new angles and offers of our own product. We were chasing a low CAC. And what CAC means is cost to acquire a customer. Okay, so to do that, we created something called like an ad formula. It's really easy for me to visualize that way. And we broke them into variables. So the hook, the body, the call to action, social proof, educational content, B-roll. And here's an example of an ad formula. An ad equals a hook, a body, a call to action. You get the point. And as mentioned, we defined a winning ad as the one with the lowest CAC, the lowest cost to acquire a customer. And once we had a winning ad, we would scale it by changing the variables, right? Swapping it, just kind of like how you do in algebra. So here's an example. We had a winning ad, and what we did is, opposed to changing the words or anything, we kept everything exactly the same, but we just changed the avatar. So opposed to being me, it was now a girl. And same thing here. We took a winning ad, this is called a delivery swap. We took a winning ad from the winter, and we just took the copy, we uploaded it into 11 Labs, which is basically text to AI voice, and then we put different backgrounds. So we took some B-roll from an install and dropped it on top of it. So here's different background 1, 2, and 3. You get the point. And then another way we do that is change the equation. So we take a winning hook and add a new body, take a winning hook, add a new educational piece, and just keep adding different variations until we had another winner, right? So there's a lot of testing, a lot of trial and error. And then we would test brand new ideas from books or just learnings you see on YouTube. And here's a cool idea I saw: is someone getting the roof for less than a penny. So we made that ad. Now, we would repeat this process bi-weekly. If I had more staff or I was better organized, I would do it weekly. I'm sure the best companies in the world do it every 3 days, right? Constantly pumping out content. So part 3, how do we film it and share with the editing team? Pretty simple. We do write all our copy in variables, right? So meaning all the hooks, the bodies, the call to action, they'd be on their own sheet, and they'd have all the variations there of those hooks, the bodies, the call to action. And we would film them individually. So that's a really important thing in step 2 is we filmed them all as standalone clips. We didn't film them as full-length ads, so it made it really easy to interchange those variables later down the road. So we'd film multiple hooks, film multiple bodies, multiple call to actions, get that clean B-roll. Now in one batch, we do like 5 hooks, 3 bodies, and 5 CTAs, which would give us about 75 combinations. But the reality is we only use 10 or 15% of those combinations due to editor bottlenecks. We just didn't have the editing capabilities. So that's something I'd improve next time around. Now each clip is recorded independently so it can be reused and recombined. And here's an example of all the clips after they've been spliced and cut up with a drive link. Then, this is my least favorite part because I would have to do this. I'd listen to all the footage and select all the clean clips, right? So review every single clip, select the strongest version of each variable, and then tag them by hook, body, call to action, and get them ready to be put together into the ad formula. And then we'd recombine them into the ad formula and send it to the editing team. So we'd mix and match the winning hooks and bodies. And by winning in this scenario, I mean the clean ones, right? Maybe I just change that here to the clean hooks, bodies, and call to actions. We create multiple ad variations from the same footage. We send the instruction and the clips to the editing team, and the editors will add the captions, the pacing, and any fun animations we wanted to add in. So here's an example. Hook, body, call to action. So last but not least is part 4. How do we track this chaos? So once you're running a ton of variations, you don't really lose because of bad ads. I would lose because I couldn't remember what worked. And here's my top 3 bottlenecks at scale. 1 is my creative memory, 2 is organization, and 3 is my decision of what I wanted to launch. So I built this system to track the creatives. So check it out. So it's a creative sheet, and we made a searchable library of every ad we ran so we could iterate. But we tracked on the ad level every hook, the body, the call to action, and the format. And how we made this sheet was super manual, not a fun process. One employee watched every video, transcribe the copy, copied it into Google Sheet, so we always had a reference point for past winners, past losers, and the patterns that we wanted to avoid, right? If we saw a hook was constantly losing, we would just obviously kill that hook. And then how do we track the ad results? This is the part I enjoy the most. I think these numbers are really fun and kind of cool to look into. This is how we track it. And first I want to mention that Facebook Ads Manager wasn't accurate. We noticed that what was going into our CRM and what Facebook was reporting were completely different. So we brought in a third-party tool called Hyros. And this is what we tracked. So obviously we tracked the sales, but then we tracked the qualified calls. So what does qualified calls mean on the ad level? Meaning that our ICP, so our ideal customer profile, filled out the form and they could actually transact if they wanted to, right? They actually could buy our product. Cost per call. So cost per sale, then leads, cost per lead, total revenue, approved. So stage approved just for our company. We did a lot of financing of roofs. So we'd want to track on the ad level how many loan approvals we got, right? And then in addition to that, we want to track how many appointments showed. So meaning if our setting team set an appointment for a closer, did it show up? So these are all really cool metrics to understand exactly which ad was driving what kind of customer and which one was converting the most. Right? And so that gave us a clear view of which ads drove true revenue, right? Actually made a difference in the bottom line, which ones only drove cheap leads that weren't qualified and that wouldn't convert, and then which messages and ads produce qualified calls. So using all these things, we continue to iterate our messaging. So that's my video on how I spent $800,000. And if you found value from this, please share it with someone cool. It means the world to me. And thanks for watching. We'll be dropping a new video soon.